guys, it's Amber
and Brandy,
and we are back after our 3-week hiatus of just life and
holidays and schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We're here looking adorable on Amber's behalf. Look at how cute she is. Is she just ridiculous or what? I'm just like looking adorable. And I didn't even shower today because I went straight to work. Spent my whole day at the welfare office. It was super fun.
Yes.
Good times. But here we are in the middle of our hot mess. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I feel like it's perfect for tonight and what we're going to talk about this week. Because so often I think we wait to share until we have a little bit figured out. Like, right. I want to share after I've learned it, so there can be like a 3 points, like, and then you should, blah, blah, blah. And this week, we're not doing that. Because when we sit down to figure out what we're going to talk about, we sit down to talk about what we're learning. And sometimes that means, like, here's what I've learned. And sometimes it means here is what I'm processing. It still feels like a hot mess.
Yes.
And we're going to share that this time.
Sometimes it's nicer to share something that we are in the middle of. Because oftentimes when we share something we think we've kind of figured out, then we get all messed up that whole week.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? We're like, this we are already messed up, so it's not going to be a surprise.
Right. So we're good. We're good with that. So when we sat down, I was telling Brandy that I have been recently really processing something that I learned a year ago, and it's just now kind of coming. It's just now kind of coming up again. And I was in some really serious, like, intense counseling, and part of what we did was I told my story to this counselor from like birth until the time of
5 hours.
It was like it was like a 6 hour long thing, and he pointed out that a lot of my story, a lot of the big moments in my life happened when I felt like somebody was fighting for me, when I felt protected, when I felt cared for, I felt my most valuable when somebody fought for me. And they were not often moments in my life. That was not something that happened regularly. But like my big moments were people who stood up for me and who fought for me. And so I kind of have come to this place of recognition that a lot of times, because I don't feel fought for, and I don't necessarily,
or you weren't fought for,
or
in the past,
wasn't
or
fought for, that I fight a lot for myself and a lot for other people, and about how sometimes that comes from a place of fear that they don't think I'm worth fighting for, so that I have to fight for them, and a place of brokenness, or like it could even be a place of I don't want to say self-righteousness, but pride maybe. Where like I feel like I can fight for you because I'm the fighter, and that's what I do. And you're broken, and I'm gonna fight for you and fix it. And it doesn't necessarily come from a place of me, of wholeness, of me being whole, of me being well, of me having been with my Father and like
being told to do that,
being told that this was a good thing to do. And that's what we're going to talk to you guys about today.
Yeah, because what we realized is in relationships, whatever kind of relationships those are, in your friendships, in your family relationships, in your marriage relationships, whatever it is, that there are times to fight for someone. Like, I am not letting this go. Like, I am fighting for you, and what a blessing that is to be fought for. And there are times to walk away
and fight for yourself.
And to fight for yourself. And nobody can tell you which is which, because only God can speak that to you. Like, I need you to go fight for her or for him or for this child or whatever it is. I need you to fight for them. And sometimes that means in relationship. And sometimes that means with major boundaries and just in the heavenlies, I'm going to fight for you.
Yes.
And sometimes God says, I release you. I mean, there are stories in Scripture of Jesus walking away from a city and shaking up the dust off his sandals and being like, okay, you don't choose this. I mean, I've had to learn that in my own life, that there have been relationships that I have been called to walk away from. That Jesus has said, I have released you. You need to move on. You need to heal. You're all done here.
Right. I'm always reminded of Pharaoh. when I think about people like that. Like, God said his heart was hardened. And there was he would never agree. He would never see God as being God. Like, he thought he was God, and that was
so
it.
the people released out of that oppression, out of that unhealthy relationship for freedom and for the promised land. And I think so often we can do both out of a place of woundedness. We can walk away from people out of a place of woundedness and brokenness. And we can stay and we can fight for people out of a place of woundedness and a place of brokenness.
Right.
So the question is, how do I go back to God and say, okay, here it all is?
I think you have to recognize
why
the necessity for a fight. Like, you have to say, here is this mess of relationship, or here is how I'm feeling and what I'm doing, and this person is hurting me, or I feel like this isn't working. And you have to realize that is something that even needs to be brought to the throne.
Yeah. First, you have to recognize the mess.
Right. Yes. So before you have to recognize that there is something that requires either fighting or stepping away from, and then I think you have to recognize your motives, like what you said, like why. Like, what's my inclination here? Is my inclination to fight or to stay? Right.
And then, or fight or leave. And then, why? Is that my inclination? Well, you have to search your heart. Psalm 139, 23, and 24 is one of my favorites. Search my heart and know me, O God. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. And I think we have to do that. Like, we have to go before God and say, am I fighting here? Right. Because you're asking me to? Or am I fighting out of pride? Or because I think it's what I have to do? Or because I've been so beat down that I've been told I can't walk away? Or because it's easier? Or because it looks better?
Right.
Am I fighting for those reasons? And on the flip side, am I wanting to walk away because I don't want to deal with conflict? Because I want to, like, piece out of this. It'll be easier. Right. Whatever it is, we can only move and act from a place of wholeness if we've dug through our heart.
Right, and we know the root. We know what it is that is happening, and we can see it clearly, and we've brought it to God, and we have heard clearly in our spirits what it is that we're supposed to do, and then we move forward.
This is why we all need therapy. This is us saying everybody should go to therapy. Because you had to go and you had to say, okay, so my natural inclination is to fight because I haven't felt fought for. So, Jesus, I need to hand you that and then hear from you. That doesn't mean he's going to say never fight again. It means because he did in this. Yes, you are fighting.
I did fight, but I don't think it was from a good place. I should have fought, and it was the right thing to do, but not because I knew it was the right thing to do. It was.
So you have to go for the Lord. Why am I fighting? Or what's my motives here? Can you heal that? And then once Jesus does that healing work, the really cool thing is then when you're fought for, it feels amazing without being necessary. Now it's not like, I need you to fight for me to fill up all my holes because I'm an empty bucket with all these holes. Instead, it's now I get to just watch how when you fight for me, that reminds me of my Jesus.
Yes.
Because I get it. I have
fights for you.
And I have those same wounds. Like, I have so many, I mean, a lot of too. Like, just not being fought for. And what that means and what it feels like. But also knowing that my Jesus fights for me.
Right. And that's harder. Because that's something that's happening beyond us and outside of what we can see or know or hear. And so to have it happen here on earth is what we long for. And to see it in fruition.
Still what I long for.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so we don't actually have answers.
No.
Just we don't know what you should do.
No. But if anybody tells you they know what you should do, like, peace out. From their advice. Not necessarily you have to walk away from that. You can ask Jesus about that. But, like, nobody can tell you. Like, you and Jesus have to get away. And you've got to sort through all the reasons, all the motives, all the wounds of your soul.
Right. And
don't act from a place
because it's hard or you're scared of what you might hear or feel like it's necessary.
Because we can tell you from recent and long past history that once you do the work and you can make that decision from a place of wholeheartedness and from a place of wholeness, that whether you're called to fight or whether you're called to leave, it's beautiful. And it is beautiful. And what Jesus does in that place is amazing. And it's going to be hard, but it will be amazing. So do your work and then do what he calls you to do. Fight, walk away, be safe, fight for you, fight for the beauty. Always, always, always fight for the beauty that God has for you, because you are...
I was just going to say it like you're beautiful and you're beloved.
So beloved. And we can't wait to hear, if you want to share, what God is doing in you and how he's processing with you. And if you need help finding a therapist in your area, like, do your work. We are still doing our work, and we always will be, I think.
But it's good. It's
so good.
All right.
Amazing.
We love you.
We love you
guys.